They tried to send this guy to Uganda, didn't happen. Now they're thinking about Eswatini. It's a little country that is almost fully inside of South Africa, but it's also bordered by Mozambique on the other hand. It is an absolute monarchy with the highest age rates in the world. Uh, it's also a hilly country and stuff like that. So I don't want to deal with what's going on with my Eswatini office, right? So I need to give them simple rules. I can't make them rely on MPV, which may consciously or otherwise bias the firm towards accepting risky projects with longer term cash flows. I don't have much control over it. So I can give them rules that favors short term small projects. If it's big enough, they can say, oh, we're doing this in Eswatini, but it's going to be big in South African market. Then I can be involved. So we need some additional rules to help us with that, which we're going to cover pretty much next time. But that's why we don't stop with MPV. Now, the next criteria we're going to, or rule we're going to think about is called internal rate of return. Under certain conditions, the decisions that you make with internal rate of return will be exactly the same as decisions you're going to make with NPV. But, the big shots relate, or investors of the firm relate to rates of return a little bit better. If you tell them that if we add this project, it's going to add, $1 billion to the firm. Is that big? I don't know. I'm just a small investor. But if you tell me that we're going to make 35% on this investment, the internal rate of return, technically speaking, it's not even a rate of return, but, the lowly guys don't know anything about that. You tell them it's a rate of return, they grab it. So I need to come up with something like that. Also known as IRR. The definition of that is simple. Calculation is not, but the definition is simple. Is the discount rate that makes MPV equals 0. So I'm going to pick a discount rate such that if I use that as my discount rate, MPV is going to be exactly 0. That is the definition of IRR. We can do that in two fashions. One, a little bit uncivilized. We could do trial and error. Or you could be a little bit more civilized. I could do data, what if analysis, goal seek, make my MPV 0 by choosing the cost of capital. Voila. All right. But I also want a formula. In fact, I want to sell, and I want the value of that sell to change as I change inputs. For that, Excel has a function called IRR. But before doing that, let me write down the equation. Come on, work with me. We're going to solve the following equation. Or if you define X This becomes a polynomial in X, where IRR is 1 over X minus 1. Okay. If you remember from your, depending upon where you went to school, anywhere from 6th grade to 9th grade algebra, a polynomial of nth degree has n solutions, but not all of them are real. Some of them are imaginary or complex numbers. In fact, if n is even, there may not even be real solutions. If n is odd, at least one solution is real, but generally there is no guarantee that all of those, there is even a unique real solution. If cash flows are conventional, which means no future cash flow is negative, the equation that defines IRR has a unique real solution. I mean, if it's not unique, then the entire concept of internal rate of return is ill-defined to begin with, right? If there are two, which one is the internal one? We're going to deal with the issues of unconventional cash flows. Now let's calculate IRR. I'm going to, I'm going to give it a different color. And I'm going to make this, technically there is an Excel function called IRR. By the way, if the polynomial is of degree 5 or higher, you cannot write an explicit general formula that is comprised of the so-called analytical functions. It's actually a theorem proved in 1830s by a 20, not even 21-year-old French mathematician called Évariste Galois. He was actually killed in a duel about 2-3 months after that. I named one of my cats after that guy. So you pick all these cash flows. Excel make this iterative calculation internally and reports you the result. But I have one problem with this that I'm going to solve in the remaining 4 minutes I have. If I change my number of my life of the project, I'm going to have to modify that formula. Because right now it refers to the first 6, including year 0. If the project is 7, I'm going to have to go do first 8. If I go back to 3, well, I'm civilized. I don't want to do that. So we'll do something about that. There's a function in Excel. It's called offset. What offset does, I give it a range, okay? And I'm going to make this range all of this stuff. I'll fix it anyway. Offset has 4 additional arguments. The first one is, by how many rows do I want to shift this reference? 0. I want to leave it the same. The second is by how many columns do I want to shift? 0. The third and fourth additional argument say, okay, from the shifted one, if it is shifted, what sort of thing you want to grab? How many rows and how many columns? Well, I want to grab that plus 1 row and 1 column. I'm basically saying grab life of the project plus 1 rows from all those cash flows and use that range in the IRR calculation. Now, suppose I change my life to 3. 1, these numbers, even though they are there, are completely irrelevant, okay? But it's calculated using only the first 4, including year 0. Now I don't have to worry about that either. Again, it's not too much of a hassle, but suppose you forgot to do it, okay? Then you get the wrong answer. Remember, the purpose of building templates like these to make it, to the extent possible, idiot-proof. Not everybody who uses your software, technically speaking, this is software. It's trivial, but it is software. Even a program that says hello world is software, right? That's typically the first little program they make you write in any computer language training. It is software. So users of softwares, you have to assume that they're idiots. But you can idiot-proof it. Now we have done it. Let's stop here for today. We're going to finish this up on Thursday. We're going to talk about especially what happens if you use something like an IRR in mutually exclusive projects. What happens if cash flows are non-conventional? Then we will also talk about things like payback period. How long does it take you to recover your money, so on and so forth. I'll see you guys Thursday.